Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. Donald Trump's administration has been attacking free expression since he got back into office, threatening critics with prosecution, targeting colleges and law firms, deporting protesters or student op-ed writers, or putting them into detention, who are here on legal visas for the views they expressed, and then arresting people who protest the deportations. None of it's been particularly popular. The White House's latest overreach appears to have ignited an angry national backlash, openly using the threat of government power to pressure one of the country's biggest, most storied corporations, Disney, to indefinitely suspend ABC late-night host Jimmy Kimmel for offending MAGA sensibilities. It's Trump's most high-visibility authoritarian attack on free speech, and yet that's really saying something. Hundreds of demonstrators, many of them writers and actors, gathered outside Kimmel's Hollywood studio today, as well as Disney's Burbank offices and ABC's Manhattan headquarters, to protest his suspension. Meanwhile, Google searches for cancel Disney Plus spiked across the country as droves of social media users posted they were ending their subscriptions to the media giant's app. And in a rare public comment, Michael Eisner, the former longtime CEO of Disney, took to social media to blast the company and its capitulation to the government. Quote, "Where has all the leadership gone?" The suspending indefinitely of Jimmy Kimmel immediately after the chairman of the FCC's aggressive yet hollow threatening of the Disney company is yet another example of out-of-control intimidation. Even some Republicans recognize this censorship campaign for what it was and are openly expressing worry about the precedent it sets. On his podcast today, Senator Ted Cruz, that Ted Cruz, likened Trump's FCC chairman Brendan Carr to a mobster.
And so he threatens explicitly, we're going to cancel ABC's license. We're going to take him off the air so ABC cannot broadcast anymore. And I got to say, he threatens it. He says, we can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way.
Yeah.
And I got to say, that's right out of Goodfellas. That's right out of a mafioso coming into a bar going, nice bar you have here. It'd be a shame if something happened to it.
The questionable and wildly oscillating accent aside, Cruz was not exaggerating. Today, when Trump was asked about Ted Cruz comparing the FCC chairman to a mobster, the president defended his man and managed to sound like a mob boss.
These airways, they make millions and millions of dollars. The news makes millions of dollars. ABC, your network. Your network wrote very badly about me, and they had to pay me $16 million.
So do you think you have a right, or that Brendan Carr has a right to take away the licenses? No, I think Brendan Carr is a patriot. I think Brendan Carr is a courageous person. I think Brendan Carr doesn't like to see the airwaves be used illegally and incorrectly and purposely horribly. Doesn't like to see a person that won the election in a landslide get 97% bad publicity before the election.
It was a pretty narrow victory, actually, electorally speaking. Meanwhile, Jimmy Kimmel hasn't been fired. The show hasn't been canceled yet, but it seems increasingly likely ABC's suspension won't be reversed. Two insiders told Rolling Stone that the lead up to Kimmel's suspension, multiple executives, ABC, Disney, and their affiliates, quote, felt Kimmel had not actually said anything over the line, but the threat of Trump administration retaliation loomed. And that threat of government retaliation in the form of Trump's Federal Communications Commission is precisely what puts this censorship campaign in just a completely different category from any past instance where local stations refuse to air network content.
Has there ever been anyone you felt you clicked with? And what was his name? Susan.
That was a special 1997 episode of the ABC sitcom Ellen, in which the character played by real-life lesbian Ellen DeGeneres finally came out. It was boycotted by family values groups who succeeded in getting at least one network affiliate in Alabama to refuse to air the episode. That was about it. Then in 2003 came the Dixie Chicks, that's the hit country band whose lead singer, Natalie Maines, told a London crowd this as the Iraq War loomed.
We do not want to explore we're staying with the President of the United States.
I lived through that, and the public backlash was swift and enormous. I mean, scores of radio stations banned their DJs from playing the Dixie Chicks for years. Some even suspended DJs who broke the ban. The Dixie Chicks had to basically break up for more than a decade. But in neither that case nor in Ellen was there overt government pressure for censorship from an FCC chair making mobster-like threats. The only thing that might come close was back in July when CBS announced it was canceling Stephen Colbert's late night show at the end of the season. And the president of the United States celebrated, posting to social media, quote, "I hear Jimmy Kimmel is next." Last night, Colbert noted the similarities between his case and Kimmel's.
So a company apparently capitulating to the whims of the president in order to ensure their merger goes through? Has that ever happened before? And what's that? What? I can't. What? Oh, I'm being told not to answer that question.
All this is happening because Trump is weaponizing the Federal Communications Commission in ways that never really been done before. The FCC has been around for nearly a century. It was created as part of the New Deal to ensure fairness in broadcasting and to regulate the then nascent growing broadcast networks, both radio and then TV. And it was designed as a nonpartisan agency that's independent from the executive branch. It's not part of the White House. It's not part of the cabinet. That independence has always been the responsibility of the FCC's 5 leading commissioners, and they're picked by presidents confirmed by the Senate for 5-year terms. Thanks to resignations under Donald Trump, there are now only 3 commissioners at the FCC. There's Brendan Carr, Trump's chairman. There's Trump's latest appointee, a former Republican Senate staffer, and there is 1 Democrat on the FCC. Her name is Ana Gomez. She worked in a variety of roles at the FCC before she was appointed as a commissioner by Joe Biden in 2023. And she joins me now. It's wonderful to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Before I get into this, just what's it like to work there right now?
It's really alarming. I am very alarmed by this administration's campaign of censorship and control. It is damaging to our democracy. It is censoring what the broadcasters can or cannot say about this administration or whatever ideology this administration wants to espouse. And that's not good for our democracy.
Do you think that Brendan Carr's statements were defensible or appropriate uses of his power as commissioner?
I think it's very important to say that the FCC does not have the authority, the constitutional right, or the ability to take action against broadcasters because the FCC does not like their editorial decisions or a comedian's jokes, whether you like them or not. That is not what the FCC can do. In fact, the First Amendment prohibits us from censoring broadcasters, and the Communications Act specifically prohibits the FCC from censoring broadcasters.
I noticed, though, you didn't answer the question. Do you think that Commissioner Carr's statements were appropriate?
I don't think that we should be threatening broadcasters. It is a chilling of speech that is prohibited by our First Amendment. And the FCC is a powerful regulator of our broadcasters. As you noted, the broadcasters have transactions before the FCC. They need to get the FCC's authorization if they want to merge with another broadcaster or if they have a license renewal. Or right now, the FCC is considering lifting ownership caps to let them consolidate even more. They have business before the FCC. They want to make the FCC happy. So they are going to censor in advance, and that is not appropriate.
There's sometimes questions when we're seeing things that this administration is doing between things that are norm breaking or inappropriate or stretching the bounds, and then there are things that seem flatly illegal or unconstitutional. Do you think the essentially whether explicit or implicit trading of policing speech in favor of some sort of regulatory favors, do you think that is legal? Do you think that's something that is legal or constitutional to do?
No, I think it's unlawful. It's both a violation of the Constitution and the Communications Act. And it's not in our authority under the Communications Act. We have the authority to regulate broadcasters in the public interest. This administration is taking the public interest and making it about anything it doesn't like. Well, that is inappropriate. It is very difficult to take action against broadcasters for the content that they broadcast on purpose, because we need to be careful about not crossing that line of violating the First Amendment.
I've covered multiple, FCCs through the years, and FCCs in Republican administrations, including Michael Paladin during the Bush administration and Ajit Pai in the first Trump administration. And my sense has always been this is an independent agency, but its priorities and its policy changes when there's a new administration, because that new administration appoints the commissioner. But even if that's the case, there is still some sense of independence, that they aren't simply an arm of the White House and of the president. Do you agree with that? And do you think something has changed now?
Yes, the FCC was created as an independent agency, as you mentioned in your opener. Congress created the Federal Radio Commission, which was the precursor to the FCC, and it thought about whether it should place it in the Department of Commerce. But it decided that it was too dangerous to have such an important broadcast medium being regulated by one person subject to the whims of one political party. And therefore, it created, it created an independent commission, multi-member commission. Again, it's not one person that can regulate according to that person's whims. And then when it created the Federal Communications Commission, it did the same thing. And over the years, the FCC has asserted its independence from pressure from the White House. Very famously, Newton Minow told the president he wasn't going to pull a broadcast license because it was too important to maintain that independence. And he told the president at the time, I did you a favor here. Same
Was that
thing.
LBJ? Was that?
I can't remember which president it was. There was another case where the chairman did the same thing. He was pressured by the president, can't remember which president it was, and he did the same thing. We have had to assert our independence for decades from exactly this type of political pressure because it's so dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, there's a sort of analog here, whether in the actual structure to the Independent Federal Reserve, which of course has the Federal Reserve Act, which sets up independent structure, to the way the Department of Justice has operated in the post-Watergate era, both as a matter of norms and sort of some statutory changes, which is, yes, it's part of the administration, but not just the plaything of the president for important reasons. I want to play you what the president did say. He seems to have a theory here of a kind of new fairness doctrine that has been violated by the networks that he has it out for. Take a listen to what he had to say.
We're talking about, I assume you're talking mostly about the networks, but they have a licensing procedure, and you can read it as well. They have to show honesty and integrity. And when they take a good, well, I think the people decide. That's why I'm president. When they take a great success, like you often do, and you make it into like it's a loser, or you put a negative spin on it, I don't think that's right.
Earlier, we played the clip of him saying, citing some statistics about, 97%. I have no idea where that comes from. He says, when you have comedians and all they do is hit Trump, I don't think that's legal. To the extent there's a theory here, it seems to be that if there's too much negative content on networks, that means they're in violation of the law and they can have their licenses revoked. Is that true?
No. License revocations are very rare. And we have rules about license revocation. And it's, like I said, it's very rarely done. The last one I can think of, we revoked a license because the broadcaster did not air for over a year. So
that seems like a pretty big failure.
We do have rules that regulate how broadcasters can operate in the public interest. But as I mentioned, the public interest isn't some amorphous concept that just allows the commission to decide, well, you have been critical of this administration and therefore you should lose your license. That would be contrary to the First Amendment.
Yes, and we have a Supreme Court ruling from last year in Verillo that was very explicit. 9-0 decided that the government can't use its sort of coercive speech powers on private entities to try to get them to regulate speech in just the fashion that it appears that the chair of the commission has done in the last day or so. Ana Gomez, who's currently a commissioner on the Federal Communications Commission. Thank you so much. That was really, really illuminating.
Thank you.